Okay, like I said, we're looking at Wednesday, February 6th, solving cube and cube root equations on page 52. If you would, update your table of contents. All right, now your table of contents are updated. Let's take a look at our notes. Solve cube and cube root equations on page 52. Sorry, a little camera adjust, some light adjust. All right, solving cubic equation steps. Step 1, factor. Sum and difference of cubes or by graphing. Step 2, solve. Linear and or the quadratic. If the equation is not factorable, then graph the equation with the solutions. Solving cube root equation steps. Step 1, isolate the cube root. Step 2, raise both sides of the equation to the power of 3. Step 3, simplify and solve. All right, if you would, update your notes. Now your notes are updated. Let's take a look at our examples. Now, I've pre-drawn some lines to help with the work. If you want to do so, go ahead and do so now. All right, let's take a look at example 1. X cubed minus 8. Now, step 1 says to factor sum difference of cubes. So A is X and B is 2. Now, this would be a difference of cubes. So that would be X minus 2 times X squared plus, we multiply the A and the B, so that's 2X, plus we square B, so 2 squared is 4. We set that equal to 0. So now the first part's real simple. X minus 2 equal to 0. So X equals 2. Now the second part, we need to see if it's factorable. So X squared plus 2X plus 4 equal to 0. Now to see if it's factorable, we just find all the combinations and make 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. 1 plus 4 is 5. That doesn't work. 2 times 2 is 4. So 2 plus 2 is 4. And then 4 times 1 is 4. And 4 plus 1 is 5 again. So, got a little blurry there. Okay. So, we see that none of the combinations work, so it's not factorable. Okay, so now I'm going to put a 1 in front of the X squared, and we're going to do quadratic formula. So A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 4. So X equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4 divided by, wow. See what happens when you don't use a ruler? Craziness. Divided by 2 times 1. I'm going to try to brighten this up a little bit. Try it so it won't get blurry. All right, so X equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root. Well, we'll look at that. That's weird. All right, so now 2 squared is 4 minus 4 times 1 times 4. So that's 4 minus 16 equals negative 12 divided by 2. At this point, we have X equals negative 2 plus or minus. We need to find out if there's a perfect square in 12. And we could use a calculator, but this one's pretty straightforward. Negative 4 times 3. okay, divided by 2. So then you have x equals -2 plus or minus. Now we can take the square root of these separately. So the square root of -4 and the square root of 3. Well, the square root of -4 is 2i times the square root of 3 divided by 2. Now we divide everything by 2. So that's -1 plus or minus 1i square root of 3. All right, let's take a look at example 2. All right, now here I see there's 4 terms, so we're going to factor by grouping. So I can factor out an x squared from the first 2 terms, put a 1 here. So 1x squared, that leaves 1x minus 1, plus I can factor a 2 out from both sides, so that's 2 leaves 1x minus 1 equal to 0. Now we're in good shape because these are the same, so we can group. So we have 1x squared plus 2 times 1x minus 1 equal to 0. So now we set each of them equal to 0. So x squared plus 2 equal to 0. We subtract 2 from both sides. We get x squared equal to -2. Take the square root of both sides. So x equals, I should say, plus or minus the square root of -2. So x equals plus or minus the square root of 2i. So there's 2 of our answers. Now we set x minus 1 equal to 0, so x equals 1. Okay. Now let's take a look at example 3. So 4 terms. So we want to factor by grouping. So here we factor out a 1x squared from both the first 2 terms. So it's 1x plus 2. And the only thing we can factor from these is a -1, which leaves 5x plus 6 equal to 0. These are not the same, so we know it's not factorable. Now, with 4 terms, you can't do quadratic formula, so you're going to need to solve by graphing. So we're going to sketch a graph. Okay, so let's use our calculator. So let's lighten up the screen a little bit. All right, so we're going to go to New Document. No, and that's way too bright. Just wasting part of your time in life. I'm so sorry for that. Light is like the enemy of making videos. That's a phone call. I should probably answer it, but I need to finish this video. So we're going to go to Add Graph. And so we're going to graph x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6. All right, it's hard to see, so let me try to zoom in a little bit so you can see better. Adjusting for light and auto adjust. Ha! Only took quite a few tries, but we have it. So you can see that your solutions are -1, -2, -3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so -1 is a solution. 2, 3, -3 is a solution. And +2 is a solution. And so you just sketch, the graph looks like this. Goes through somewhere like that and goes through there. So your solutions are x equals -3, x equals -1, and x equals 2. Okay, so if you would finish up example 3, give me a moment to try to adjust the camera and the lighting. All right, there we go. All right, so now let's take a look at example 4. All right, now we're solving cube root equations. So the first step is isolate the cube root. So here we're going to divide both sides by 7. So we get the cube root of 5x minus 7 equals, divide 84 by 7 is 12. Now, okay, we cube both sides. So that becomes power 1. You're left with 5x minus 7 equals 12. Cubed is 1,728. We add 7 to both sides, so 5x equals 1,735. Divide both sides by 5, x equals 347. All right, and let's take a look at example 5. First thing we're going to do is isolate the cube roots. We're going to add 6 to both sides, so we get the cube root of x plus 180 equals 6. Okay, cube both sides. So you get x plus 180 equals 6 cubed is 216. Subtract 180 from both sides, x equals 36. All right, last example. The cube roots are as isolated as it can be, so we're going to cube both sides. This becomes power of 1, so you're left with 1x plus 6. This, though, is 2 cube root of x minus 1 times 2 cube root of x minus 1 times 2 cube root of x minus 1. The reason we have to do that is because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And x cube root of x minus 1 times cube root of x plus or minus 1 times cube root of x minus 1 is x minus 1. So now we still don't do anything with the x plus 6. We distribute, so that's 8x minus 8. Subtract 1x from both sides, so you get 6 equals 7x minus 8. Add 8 to both sides, you get 14 equals 7x. Divide by 7, x equals 2. All right, so if you would, finish up your examples and start working on your assignments and have a wonderful Wildcat day.